And we're ready to start the press conference for Punch Drunk Love, which is shown in Toronto at the festival as an international premiere. And somehow Cannes has established them as a very, very efficient duet and a very happy duet. Yes. Many films, countless hours of television.
Yes.
4 films. Still, the merry minuet of the happy duet. Adam Sandler, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Thank you. That's very nice.
And there's going to be a question here and a question here. Go ahead, the microphone to this gentleman. Then to you, sir. Then to you, sir.
Mr. Anderson, can you tell me if the film has been in any way affected by a bad phone sex experience? Personally.
Yes.
Care to elaborate?
No.
Then the microphone to this gentleman. I'm sorry, go ahead, to the lady.
By the way, phone sex used to be for free. Back when it first started. Just for everyone's, when I was in college, a long time ago, maybe 18 years ago, it was free. There was a number in New York, it was free. And we should get that back.
It wasn't an 800 number?
It wasn't. It was like some, just a quick number. It was like, 976, and then a dirty, you picked any dirty name you could come up with, and it was a free 30 seconds, and there you go. Now it's incredibly expensive.
Yeah. Right? Madam?
Yeah, I guess.
Andrea Casey, FBO TV. I just came from the screening. I was skipping down the street to come down here. Question for PT. Adam Sandler seemed to be the only person that could have played this role. My stomach is still in knots over the beginning of his performance. Why did you write this role for Mr. Sandler?
Yeah.
Why?
Thank you for asking.
Because I just think he's wonderful, and I think he's just a hell of an actor. I've always loved his movies. I've always loved seeing him in movies and thought. I think you think who do you want to be around? Who do you want to work with? But really, who do you want to be near? And I always wanted to be near him, and so I made my dream come true.
Yeah. Feels good to be near you too.
Give him $50.
It's really just really an appreciation for him, liking him as an actor, and really wanting to work with him. It's really it's that simple.
But the part that you have written for him is the character is more violent than we're used to seeing Mr. Sandler in.
I don't know about that. He's always beating people up.
Yeah, he can fight pretty good in the movies. but this is a kind of a rage inside, an inner rage that occasionally slips out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't know.
Adam, congratulations. Extraordinary performance.
Thank you.
And just continuing with this last comment, there is a huge amount of both ferocity and sweetness in your performance. Which of those two was the most difficult for you to tap into, and why?
Wow, I don't know. In real life, I'm a little nuts. I can be pretty sweet at times, and I can be a little nuts, and have my family ask me to leave on occasion. So every day when I would show up to the set and I would see what scene we were doing, I was like, okay, all right, that's the mood I'm gonna be in today, and I've been in that mood before. So everything when Paul would talk me through it and to say exactly what he wanted came pretty natural.
Sir,
Yeah.
then,
Thank you.
sorry, you wanted to comment?
No. I just want to say, yeah. Really, that's exactly what.
Oh, this is going to be the modus operandi?
No.
Oh, okay. Sir?
The film is being marketed as a comedy, and Mr. Anderson, I want to know how you feel if you feel that's kind of a gross generalization.
Why is the film being marketed as a comedy?
It's in the press kit. It calls it a comedy.
You call it a comedy?
Yeah.
Or is it called a romantic comedy?
Romantic.
Well,
comedy.
first of all, the only reason why you have to call it a romantic comedy is because there are people that think you have to call it something. You know, so you have to rack your brain and think, well, what am I supposed to call this? Because you really, what's the fucking point in really calling it anything? It's you know, but for better or for worse, I guess if you had to say something, it's a romantic comedy. But it's not a comedy, but the closest you could say is romantic comedy. But the only reason you're doing that is because a lot of people ask you to try and do that.
And I just wanted to ask Mr. Sandler how you consider this to be a departure from past comic performances.
Well, I think departure means I'm moving on from something, and I don't know how to describe what I think I did. I did a movie with a guy who I think is an incredible filmmaker, and I played a role that he wrote for me that I thought was a great part, and I thought that it would be a challenge for me to do, but something I thought I could actually do. So I do want to. In no way do I want to say I'm giving up making a certain kind of movie. I love making the movies I've made in the past, but I do also. This experience was incredible, and I want to continue to challenge myself, and I'd love to challenge myself with the man here. Down the line, we plan on doing some stuff in the future, and that's just. I'm 36 years old. I made a movie when I was in Toronto here when I was 26, Billy Madison. I had a great time doing that. Every movie I've done since, I've tried my hardest to make it as good as it can be. But I want to definitely test myself any way I can, and this guy tested me.
Well, were you surprised when he approached you with the script? Did you know each other before?
Paul, how did it happen? Even?
Well, I knew that I wanted to work with Adam, and I came to meet him because I knew where he was shooting a movie on a certain day and a certain time.
That's right.
And
we met that night.
That's right.
And we hung out on the set.
Mm-hmm.
Had a nice time talking. Paul and I got along real well that night, and his movies I thought were incredible. And I remember after you, I remember I saw Magnolia pretty much like. What was it like after we met?
Yeah.
A few days after we met, and I saw Boogie Nights, and I thought Boogie Nights was incredible. But then I saw Magnolia a couple days after we talked about making a movie together, and I saw it. I was alone in the theater, and I was in the front row. It was jam packed, and I was just staring at the screen the whole time, going, "Ooh, boy, this guy's incredible," and this is a movie I've never seen before in my life, and my head was. I remember calling you up right after I walked out. And I said, "Oof, I've never seen anything like that before." And is that what we're planning on doing together? And I don't even know if you knew what you were writing yet at the time.
I think I knew a little bit. But I just wanted to know that he was as good a man as I thought he was from seeing his work, and to see that we would get along, and we did, and had been writing a little bit and continued to write, and there you go.
Madam, the gentleman afterwards.
Hi there, Liz West with City TV. You won Best Director over here. Best Director for this film at the Cannes Film Festival. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You seem to have the Midas touch when you look at your track record. I'm wondering to the director if you sort of know what your key to success is.
I don't.
Let me add to that burden. A couple of days ago, Paul Schrader and Brian De Palma were asked who among this new generation was interesting. They both went Paul Thomas Anderson.
That's
cool.
nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Well, I try not to concern myself with thinking about things like that too very much, and try and keep my head down and go to work.
Works hard too. Paul doesn't. It's a process. Making the movie. What we talked about and what Paul initially was thinking about is making a movie like you make an album, and working hard and doing scenes and making sure it's the best best track possible before you moved on. And we shot a few scenes, a bunch of days just to make sure we got it right. And he just never seen anybody work as hard as him and think about every aspect of the movie and acting and the framing and the story and just pacing of a movie. And he saw it all in his head. Musically, he saw it all in his head. And I would see Paul at the monitor watching scenes back and actually humming stuff that he knew the score was going to be, and it was never seen anything like it. So I don't know how to sum Paul up, but besides being incredibly smart and incredibly original, he works his ass off.
Sir.
Yeah, Bruce Kirkland from the Toronto Sun. This is a question for both as well, and it jumps back to a previous question about what kind of film this is, whether it needs a label, etc. And you both know that people were kind of shocked that Adam Sandler is the star of a P.T. Anderson movie.
Yeah.
And this subject came up at the Cannes Film Festival. So moving on from there, because you dealt with it well then, but moving on from there, do you think it's an advantage now or a disadvantage that you have people are getting over the shock and you're now trying to sell a certain kind of movie, but not necessarily to the usual people who watch an Adam Sandler movie? Because, you know, you have a younger audience than maybe this movie is targeted to. So do you both see that it's now maybe a playful advantage, or is it a disadvantage to try to get your film seen, and is that one of the reasons you came to this festival?
I don't know. I think if you go thinking about that stuff for too long, you can crawl up your own ass and get so confused about what really is going on, which is just it's a good movie and a movie that we love and are very proud of, and you want to be giving with it, and you want to find where to show it and find how people can see it, and in the best circumstances possible. You sort of operate from there and have faith in that, and then concern yourself with that other stuff that much because, you know, you want it to get out there and communicate. But I think you'll fucking kill yourself if you start thinking about advantages and disadvantages so much that it takes all the fun out of just making it well and being proud and concerned with that and the presentation of that. And that's the job, you know. That's the job.
It's funny. Me and Paul, when we were making the movie together, we were in it together, and we were kind of isolated in our thoughts and just thought about this movie. And we would talk at night. And we talked about Barry Egan on the phone a lot when we weren't on the set, and we just. And the only time it would be odd that we were doing a movie together was on occasion. Somebody would say something to us like, "Oh, what are you doing now?" "Oh, I'm doing a Paul Thomas Anderson movie." "You are?" And I'd be like, "Oh, okay." It's weird to hear that, but in our heads, we were that night we had fun together, and remember reading the script. I remember reading the script and feeling like what possibly you felt when you were watching it. Your head was like, where is this going? What is happening? Is this guy going to be all right? And it just became about the movie. It wasn't about PTA or about my fans, or it was just about making an interesting movie. And hopefully people are going to end up seeing it. We're very proud of it.
Madam?
Hi. Johanna Schneller from the Globe and Mail. I want to ask you about tone in the movie, Mr. Anderson. You know, during the rage scenes in the press screening, people were laughing. And I just wanted to know, you know, what you were doing behind the monitor as you were watching it. If you're trying to elicit two reactions at once, or, you know, what you were hoping to say about rage with this.
Well, that's maybe usually that thing when things are so scary that you can't help but laugh, or maybe you're too embarrassed to laugh out of respect for someone who's going through something rough, but you you still laugh, you know, and then you're mad at yourself maybe for laughing, or I don't know. I'd probably gotten my confusion out by the time, hopefully while I was writing it, or then probably more confusion happened, and I don't know. But it's Adam's very funny, and so it's kind of a lot of anything that he does, he can make funny pretty fast, and then when he gets mad, it can be so. I think not. I can't describe this stuff very well sometimes, but just so honest and scary that maybe it's funny too. I think maybe I.
Do you have a specific example?
Well, well, to think about the scenes of rage, you know, it's pretty funny when I think it's funny when he beats up the bathroom, just because it's scary, but it's also funny. It's
He comes out pretty calm afterwards.
yeah. I'm not answering the question, and I'm not sure.
No, but it's okay. Was there any moment where Adam looked at you and said, "Do you want me to take the character that direction or that far?" And is there a moment when you looked at him and said, "Do you really want to take the character that far?" Or were you pretty much in control, both of you?
I don't think we don't get. There was no discussions like that. There's it's sort of you don't get in discussions like that if. I think we're both on the same page the whole time. So you always kind of when the truth is the truth. You know when you got something right. Or sometimes you don't know you got it right, and you spend 4 days trying to figure out a new and fantastic and different way to do it that's either this way or that way, and then at the end of the day you realize you had it right the very first time. But there's never, I think when you're working really closely with someone, if you really get in a groove that's nice, you're both hearing the same thing, and it's not.
Yeah, that's true.
You hear it, and you're open about the questions about what the hell you're doing, and did that make sense? Was that and you're just chasing it all the time. You're just chasing down what the hell sounds good and looks right and feels nice, and
that's fun. Yeah, we got to kind of create Barry Egan. What you envision and what I was thinking, and we kind of before we started shooting the movie, and even while we were shooting, we got to know the guy more and more, saying, I don't know if Barry would do this,
right,
and how he would react to that.
Right.
It was like, I don't know. I play music with friends, and it was as close to just a jam session that I've ever felt making a movie. It was showing up to work, and even though we knew what the scene was, and we knew what needed to be accomplished for the story, it was finding the coolest way to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if "cool" is the right word, but whatever.
No, sometimes it is the coolest way, or the simplest way, or the funniest way, or the maddest way, but also too when you're chasing that stuff down is when you find yourself just fucking around, and you're it's but the best way to describe it is crawling up your own ass, just in investigating what are we doing and what's interesting here, what are you trying to say, and then you. 9 times out of 10, keeping it simple is the thing that seemed to work every time.
Question here, then the gentleman there.
Hap Erstein of the Palm Beach Post in Florida. Despite your many successes in the past, you've hardly...
This is important to me because my parents will read this.
Excellent. Despite your many successes in the past, you have hardly been a critic's darling.
Oh, really?
That's what I hear. How does that make you feel? To what extent is this an attempt at changing that and maybe get some critical respect?
Well, when I made Billy Madison, I remember when I was shooting that movie, and I was thinking, oh, that's gonna be fun when it comes out, and they actually write stuff about you and blah blah blah. My parents will read it, and this is incredible. Last time I was in the paper was 8th grade. I made the honor roll, and wow. And so all of a sudden that morning I woke up and I'm like, oh man, I didn't know they were gonna come at me and hate what I was doing, and kind of shook me up that day. And then I remember just calling my friends up going, what's it like in your hometown? What are they writing about me there? And it's like, ooh, them too, huh? But I like I said, I'm 36 now. I kind of like grew up doing this almost. I've been making movies for about 10 years. I've been doing stand-up. You know, I got rejected by stand-up crowds since I'm 17. I've been hit a bunch of times, and I'm all right with that. I just want I know in my heart I've always been pretty. I've worked hard at trying to make funny movies, and I believe in my movies. And I know critically, there's they you know, a lot of the critics object to what I do, but it can't hurt me that much if in my head I realize I wasn't making a movie. I didn't. When I was 17, getting into this, I didn't say I want to make movies one day that critics go, "This guy's incredible." I wanted to make movies that, you know, what Eddie Murphy did for me when I was growing up, and now with doing a movie with Paul, excuse me, doing a movie with Paul and doing a whole a different type of movie, you know. I realize critically, I've read stuff that people have said nice stuff about the movie, and it's a new thing, and I'm glad my father can read something about me and say, hey, you're right. But it wasn't my goal. It wasn't my goal. I just wanted to make a great movie with Paul, and I didn't in my head say, now I'll show him, you know, how great I can be. That's not what my intention was. My intention was to once again make an entertaining movie and try my hardest at it.
Where do your parents live?
Outside of Boca. Nice people. Yeah. Don't catch him on the day one of my reviews come out, though. Florida, yeah. Half of the year, and the other half they're in New Hampshire.
Sir, and then sir.
Hi, Calvin McLean for The Strand at U of T. I was wondering what's your take, Mr. Sandler, on other actors such as yourself who have a large body of work in comedy and then try to diversify, as it were, maybe like Jim Carrey or Robin Williams. Do you think you're all in the same boat, or is it kind of every man for himself?
I think you know, we're all fortunate to have careers and get to make movies. And I mean, the guys you mentioned, we're all getting to make movie after movie and choices. And I think those guys, I know Carrey, I know Robin Williams a little bit also, and they're great guys, and they try to test themselves.
Yeah, that's when it becomes a preoccupation with what are your career choices as opposed to a preoccupation to what are your interests and what are you trying to say as a person, what are you doing? Then it becomes a mistake to confuse career choice with. It's just that taking advantage of the privilege to be able to say things and do things and wonder where your head might be in the world and what the hell you're trying to say and go through. You know,
Right.
that's really it.
Sir.
Hi, in the middle here. Hi, Dwayne Dudek from the Milwaukee Journal. Mr. Anderson, the film has such a great tone and style, and I'd love to talk about that all day, but I'll narrow it down. I mean, if you've only had, this is your...
If you don't agitate the mic, talk into it.
Your films are, if you can tell a Thomas Anderson film when you see it, but this one seems different. Did you consciously attempt to simplify in some way? And I'd also like you to maybe if you could follow up on the distinctive use of sound in this film. It's very loud, and I'm wondering if you're trying to wake the character up in some way, or what is the purpose of it?
Yeah, well, I would say that probably pretty intentionally trying to attack something in a different way and try to make a movie that was simple. And I was really in love with a lot of the Blake Edwards movies, you know, as a kid growing up, and especially Jacques Tati's movies. And Adam kind of reminded me of Peter Sellers a little bit, and you know, the way he would walk and stuff. And those movies are really simple, and kind of was just trying to rip those off the best I could sometimes, thinking, you know, how do they do this to just be simple? And so I would say that I was trying hard to be simple, and then the sound that's just like a lot of noise and music and stuff that's there for, you know, for the enjoyment. I hope that makes the movie a nice experience. Really,
Actually, you'd be great in a remake of Being There.
being there, yeah.
He would be fabulous in it. Sir, and then sir, and then the lady.
Nicholas Williams Edmonton Sr. Mr. Anderson, I'm just intrigued. Most of your works have been ensemble pieces, Boogie Nights, Magnolia. What drew you to do such a one-character study approach here, rather than taking an ensemble work?
I think probably just being tired of being around so many people, to be around just a few people, and just to fuck yourself up and scare yourself a little bit to try and narrow it down, which was a challenge for me to try to do. And you just want to make sure you're scaring yourself, and every time you go to do this and doing something new, and this would be that. But also mainly just the story that was in my mind to try and tell was a very specific story about two people, really, Adam and Emily's character. And so between the challenge of wanting to do something else and the story that I had in my mind to tell, I hope that's a good answer.
Sir, the lady afterwards.
Hi, Adam Nichols, Vice Magazine. I have a question actually for Mr. Sandler and for Mr. Anderson, if that's all right. Mr. Sandler, from what I've seen in the past in interviews and whatnot, you're an intelligent guy. I'm guessing. But
Yeah, not that intelligent. Right?
well, okay, well, Mr. Anderson can correct that later. But, you've mentioned Billy Madison and films like that, and those seem to have a vast appeal. What do you? I could best describe those characters as a big-hearted doofus, really. They sort of they're dumbed down, but they have a big heart. What do you think is the appeal of characters like that, opposed to a character like this?
I don't know. I can't sum it up. Who I am in real life, I don't even know who the hell that is. But and who I play in the movies, I don't say when we're working on a script, I want to play a big-hearted doofus right now. I usually say, I want to write a movie that I think's pretty funny. If I'm playing the lead guy, I want him to make sense to the idea of the movie. I don't know. You want to help me out?
No, I can't help you out.
All right, I'm sorry. Sorry to bring you into that.
Sorry, I didn't mean that offensively.
Not at all.
Okay,
No. I get that at my home.
Okay. And Mr. Anderson, in no way related to the other question, your films have an emotional maturity and depth to them, but which is very different from a lot of the films coming out today. Do you think Hollywood caters to stupidity?
Do you have 3 days for that debate?
Does Hollywood cater to stupidity? No, not really. I don't know the fucking answer to that question. I don't know.
Then the lady will pick up the ball.
Hi, Andrea again in the back here. Two things. You said it wasn't an ensemble cast, but obviously the other characters in the film were very important. One, can you talk about the casting, because Philip Seymour Hoffman is back again brilliantly. And two, color was almost a character. Color seemed to shock us. The bright light was used a lot, and the blue of the suit, you must have been tired of that suit, and the red for the girl, blue for the boy and red for the girl. Can you talk about color and how you chose color for the film, as well as the other?
And that suit was snug on me, too.
Yes, it was.
Intentionally snug, said my director.
We were just trying to make, trying our hardest to try and make one of those, I've always loved Vincent Minnelli movies, like American in Paris and Bandwagon, and, trying to make a Technicolor movie, just trying to rip those off and make it look pretty, like a romantic comedy. You should, it should. I think if it's romantic comedy, it should look pretty. And the blue suit looked good on him, and she looked good in red. And I think you just you try and do that, what looks smart, you know? Because I always liked the way they looked in those movies that I mentioned, and everybody just looked smart. And with Phil, well, Phil's just because I love Phil very much as an actor and like working with him, and had him just play the part. Just thought it would be nice to see him be a bad guy and have him do, you know, one-on-one scenes with Adam. That's to think about it that way. You always think about sort of matching someone up and who might have fun acting off each other, you know.
Oh,
'Cause that's
yeah.
like a fun thing for actors is you know who you might be in the same room with, and you're doing that, and it's like, you know, it's making out with someone. It's like dancing with someone, and it's fun. And you think, who would be nice to have in the same room together? And the notion of the two of them together, I thought was a nice one, and I think that it is still.
The gentleman, the lady with the glasses, in that order, sir.
Adam, how could you deal with so many women in your life, so many nagging women? And also, I want to ask, how many phone sex calls did you make to get into this character?
That's both good questions.
I did the phone sex research for him.
Yeah. No, every time I'd call Paul, he'd say, hang on, I'm on the other line. Give me 2 minutes. But, no. And then the nagging women, I have very loving women in my life. I do have, I was actually just home visiting my mama in New Hampshire. And she was telling me what to do a lot when I was home. It was every move I made was you know, we talked about it, and what I was doing wrong, and just walking down the hall in sweatpants with a stain on them. I got about a 45-minute lecture on that. And but I know that everybody, all the women in my life come from a loving place, and I'm learning not to react to that. What they're saying to me as quickly as I used to. I used to snap pretty quick. Leave me alone was my catchphrase. And now I just go, what? What do you need, mommy? So I'm getting older and a little bit nicer.
Sir? And
Yes.
then the lady with the glasses.
Mr. Sandler, you were so convincing in the scenes of rage. Not that you weren't convincing in other scenes, but have you ever had to deal personally with anger management? And in these scenes that you were filming, was there any personal injury ever occurred due to the broken glass and, and broken bathrooms?
A little bit, nothing too heavy. I remember I cut my hand one night smashing the window. But my personal life, I got to tell you, I have had the rage in my life. The bathroom scene, what I love about the bathroom scene, the only thing because I've never done in a public bathroom torn apart a place. I've been nuts, but you know, when growing up, smashed telephones and that kind of stuff. But my big move when I was growing up was the rage. Was I'd have a little snap, you know, screaming and whatever, and a tantrum, and then I'd run into the blue bathroom in my house and shut the door, and just like everybody would be like, "Oh man, Adam just lost it there," and then I would just be in the bathroom crying, and then I remember I'd always look in the mirror when I was crying. I'd be like. I would stare at my eyes. My eyes are kind of green when I cry, and so even though I was having my tantrum, I was preparing myself for acting roles in the future. It looks good when I tear up more in this eye.
Ma'am.
Hi, Adam. We've covered the phone sex and the bad suit and everything. So anything else that you might have done to prepare to get into this character? Any kind of research or other preparation?
You know who was a great preparation? I met a man. What's his name? I forgot the guy who we hung out with.
Dave from Aquablast?
Yeah. Dave, who had a job similar to what? Yes, yeah.
It was his bath tablets that turn certain colors in the water for kids.
For kids.
Trinket kind of, yeah.
Right. Hanging out with him, seeing his day-to-day life was fun and learning. And I know you talked to him when you were writing the movie, so.
Mm-hmm.
You know what was funny? I would drive around in my car a lot, and I was studying the lines and making sure I had the lines. And I would do the scenes a lot in my car and as preparation, and pull off to the side of the road and do full-on scenes and try to, I was pretty good sitting in my driver's seat. I let loose a few times and did the scenes pretty good, and then I would call Paul up on the phone and say, hey, I think I said a few lines for you. I would always get nervous to say lines for you over the phone because I was afraid I'd hear like, what? That's the exact opposite of what I want. But I would call Paul and just discuss each scene and what exactly we need to get across, and what my guys, wanted to make sure I understood what Paul was writing, every nuance, and we did it together. Came up with the guy together. But preparation, this was the first time, I must say, that I knew the script as well as I could. I don't have that great of a memory, being a big-hearted doofus and all. So I have a pretty tough time memorizing lines. But this one I was 90% there, don't you think? 70?
No.
About certain days.
No, there's no, yeah, 100%. I wouldn't say 90%. I'd say 100%.
All right, let's get that.
Except for that one day.
One day he wasn't happy with my memorization skills. But
No,
I got through it. I got through it, and we did all right.
Sir.
Adam,
yes.
Robin Williams recently rediscovered his stand-up comedy roots. Do you plan on returning to where it all began for you? And also, how would you say Punch Drunk Love compares to the Hanukkah song movie that is coming out at the end of the year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're totally different movies. That movie there is called 8 Crazy Nights, and it's an animated movie, and it's fun and musical and a lot of jokes, but it's not Punch Drunk. It's a whole other thing. I'm psyched for you to see it.
Yeah.
I was working on it I've been working on that movie for about 3 years now. I'm very proud of that also. But stand-up, I do think about that a lot. Kids talk to me, people stop me who saw me when I was, I remember I performed in Toronto when I was like 18 years old or something, and that was a big deal. And the nights that went well, I was so excited, and the nights that didn't go well, I wanted to hide in the hotel. But it was a great feeling being a stand-up and great performing in front of a live crowd, and I missed that. And I work very hard with the movies, and it's very time-consuming, but I do a few times a week think about, man, I'd like to get out on the road and do some stand-up. Hopefully I'll get to do that. I don't even know what I would talk about right now. I haven't really, as I said, I'm getting a little bit older. I don't know what subjects I'm going to talk about. I don't know. There's new stuff happening in my life. I'm going to let it pile up. I get the luxury of being a stand-up and first starting out is like when I started out when I was 17, so I had 17 years of material that were fresh, and I could talk about now. And now I want to live a little bit, and have different things go on in my life, and then I'll get to talk about it, share it with you, and you guys can either laugh or critique me.
Madam?
Hi, Adam. You seem so relaxed at this press conference, and yet you really hate to give interviews. Why?
I don't know. I don't know if I thank you for saying I look relaxed. I try, I don't mind. I can talk to anybody who wants to talk. But when I was younger and I did a few interviews for some magazines, I remember reading the article after hanging out with this person that I didn't know, and I got to know the person for a few days, and I'd say, I'd share my life with them and talk with them and let them in, into my home and know about my thoughts and whatever. And then I would read the article and I would hear, this guy's a moron, and read quotes that I didn't really say and 100% fabricated. And I said, that's really not what if I can't be sure that the article is going to say exactly what I said. Not that anything I ever say is that brilliant, but I just don't need to see printed. Have my friends call me up and say, you said this, and me saying, I never said that in my life. It was just a weird thing. So I'm very happy with my life, and I love my people who come to see the movies. If I'm walking down the street and a kid comes up to me, I'll talk to that kid. If I have time, I'll talk to that kid for as long as he wants to talk to. I have no problem with letting strangers into my life. I just like I said, times I've done interviews with magazines and whatnot. I didn't really like what I saw, and that's kind of what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid our time is up. Thank you very much for being here, guys.
Oh yeah? He's got me beat.